Welcome to the True Life News Show. Today, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I'm telling you guys, they do not stop for nothing, and they are bulldozing their way through. This is so shocking. Like, I actually didn't even see this coming, but this is wonderful, wonderful news, because right now, the Senate is on a 14-day vacation. The House of Representatives, led by Mike Johnson, is on a 17-day vacation. So they're supposed to be working on this big, beautiful bill. They're supposed to be dismantling the deep state for Trump, and leaders like Mike Johnson and Senator Toons have the authority to not go on vacation, but they have chosen to. 14 days and 17 days. This makes no sense. Well, guess what? Trump is giving Elon Musk more authority to work on federal departments to continue revamping things and overhauling them for America. This is huge, guys. Right now, Elon Musk is working with one of the biggest AI platforms ever, Palantir, on the IRS right now, because the Internal Revenue Service, Elon Musk said, is a big Ponzi scheme. It's a big fraud. This is like as bad as it gets when it comes to the amount of fraud, waste, and abuse that they have found. And what they're doing now is they're completely redoing the entire system to be tied to the Treasury to make sure that payments going out for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid are going to be tracked. We just found out that the Doge team found $236 billion sent overseas for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid to other foreign countries that we can't even track, have no receipts for. So now we're doing a complete overhaul of their entire technological systems in order to make sure that we have accountability. A lot of people don't like it that Elon Musk is going to be able to do more with these federal departments, but Trump says we have to know what's going on. We have to have accountability. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, in the chat, because I feel like we can lose $250 billion and no Democrat denies it. No Democrat is upset. No Democrat says, oh, hey, that was a good find, Doge. Good job. They know that there's fraud in there, and we're about to find it out. On top of that, Trump, he's not holding back on a lot of his lawsuits, has just announced he's officially opening another lawsuit against 60 Minutes, CBS, and Paramount over their fraudulent reporting of the 2024 election, and says that he will be working with the FCC to remove their broadcasting license. Like, guys, this is big, because not only does he's suing them for billions of dollars right now that could bankrupt them, but he's also holding them accountable with the FCC for what he's saying is election interference. And this is a big one, guys. I hope you're sitting down, because I'm telling you, it's not just the Republicans. It's not just the independents. Right now, billionaire and massive Democratic donor Antonio Gracias just came back from working with Elon Musk on fixing the Social Security Administration. And instead, he says that what he has discovered is pretty much a criminal enterprise within the Social Security system, saying that it is all fraud, that they have found evidence tying back to so many people, criminal investigations will be happening, and that he said it's worse than he could ever have imagined. Guys, this is a Democrat donor. This is a billionaire who's a friend of Elon Musk, who is now saying that the Social Security system is a big corruption fraud ring. We got so much breaking news to get into today, guys. This is what I'm talking about. We are finally getting the truth. We are exposing the fraud. We're bringing you the breaking news, guys, and we got all the receipts to show you in just a moment. I want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed, to all of our viewers. Thank you so much for your support. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at True Life News, guys. We want you here. We want to serve you every day with the top news. There's so much going on. We want to make sure you see the truth for yourself. We're going to show you things that you normally don't see on mainstream, but we want you to get the full scope. Want to say thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. Guys, y'all are the best. Thank you so much for your continued support. Remember, on the 22nd of this month and every month, we're going to be giving our donation to a local charity. Guys, we have given thousands and thousands of dollars. And right now, we've given over $31,000 in the past 6 months with your support. When you are a member or you give a super chat, we take that and we donate this money live on stream so that you can see that we are doing some good in this world. And I want to say thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. Thank you so much. Just want to say also too, if you haven't, please do us a huge favor of hit that thumbs up like button. Guys, it really does help out so much with these videos. Thank you so much for liking them and sharing them. Guys, we've got a huge thing at hand, and this is getting deep, but the fraud, the corruption is real. And I'm going to show you in just a moment. Check this out.
This is the best stock market week in 2 years. And how about this? Both the CPI inflation report and the producer price inflation report fell. I don't mean slow down. The levels actually fell. And on top of that, you've got people knocking on the door to make trade deals. Maybe we can talk about that. All these countries coming around. We may be close to a couple of trade deals. It would be very important. And also, the House passed its budget resolution, which means they're going to go full speed ahead in reconciliation with a big, beautiful tax cut, as well as deregulation, a little liquid gold deregulation, and yes, also tariffs that will protect us against unfair trading practices. I'd say on the whole, Mr. Trump and his policies had a very good week.
So Larry's not a panicking. We knew that already. So going forward, Larry, when they make an announcement on Japan or on South Korea, pick a country, that's got to jolt the market. So that'll be great for Wall Street, and it'll be great for workers. Isn't that what we want?
Yes, I think that's exactly right. I think that the sooner they can make a deal, and it's got to be the right deal, so it may take a week or 2 or 3, whatever. They're close with Japan. They're close with Vietnam, which is a fabulous story. Also, Korea is in there, and also India is in there. And although I don't expect any miracles, the European Union is in Washington talking to our trade team. So the deal, I think, will lend credence to what the president can do and is trying to do, and that is protect American workers from unfair trading practices. You laid it out great in your introduction, I thought. And it will add credence to the stock market. You know, remember, it's not Wall Street versus Main Street. 60% of Americans own stocks. The middle class, working folks, IRAs, 401ks, pension funds, they own stocks too. But I think you'll get a lot of confidence that Mr. Trump's plan of reciprocal trade, fair trade, level playing fields, okay, that will give tremendous confidence if we can get some deals up, and I'll bet you see a massive stock market rally. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, the Democrats want to criminalize the whole deal. And now, I'm not a big Wall Street guy, but I always understood insider trading as this, Larry. When you have inside information and you tell your wife or your buddy or your uncle or your colleague and you whisper it to them, and then they make that trade based off that insider information. When Trump says to the world, buy stock, is that illegal?
No, of course it's not illegal. By the way, Jesse, you're dressed so beautifully, you could easily be a Wall Street guru, a Wall Street investment banker. There's no question.
If I could do math, I'd be downtown right now, Larry.
Okay, I get it. But I mean, actually, he posted that thing very early in the morning. I'm not sure the decision was even made for a 90-day pause until later in the day. But he was just saying, don't panic, okay? And I think that's right. I don't see what laws...
Guys, I have to show you this because this is one of the newest tactics that they're trying to fight against Trump again, because what is he doing right now? He is literally going into the biggest place where they take all of our money without no question, and then they funnel it through every project that they ever want. But look at this. Palantir is helping Doge with a massive IRS data project. Guys, this is one of the biggest exposure changes that Trump has now given Elon Musk the power to go into the federal departments like the IRS and completely overhaul them, because we have trillions of dollars that we can't account for. Trillions of dollars that come in, and then we have billions and trillions that go out, and there's no connection. So Trump said, you know what, Elon? Go in, make sure that we can account for every single penny that comes through our systems, so that way, if there's any fraud, we will catch them, guys. This is what I love. This is accountability. Now they're trying to say that Trump is trying to do some insider trading. No, this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid that Doge is going in and he's going to expose everything. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, let me know your thoughts in the comments section, guys, in the chat, because we need this now more than ever. They're trying to cover it up and trying to make Trump look a certain way with some of this other things that are going on. All they're trying to do is distract.
Are being broken here. Democrats just try. They're like little ankle biters. You follow you around and they're always biting your ankle. That's all they ever do. It's really too bad. You know, Democrats were for tariffs to protect workers before they were against them. Isn't that odd?
It's like
For
John
years,
Kerry
Nancy
in the Iraq
Pelosi,
War. And he lost based on that flip-flop. Maybe they'll lose in the midterms based on this if everything comes together. Larry Fink, not a good Larry, a kind of a not-so-good Larry, said this about the economy. Listen.
Yes, I do believe we're probably starting, if not, we're in a recession. Yes, I think the market is still anticipating, underestimating how high inflation can get. This is not a pandemic. This is not a...
You know what I love is that this same guy wasn't saying this whenever inflation was almost 10% under the Biden regime. It's at 1% now, and he's trying to fearmonger people into selling and trying to make Trump look bad.
Financial crisis. This is something that we've created. But in the short run, I'm petrified at some of these issues.
So he's petrified, Larry.
You know, Larry Fink is a smart fella. Sometimes I agree with him. Many, many times I disagree with him. All I can say is all these recessionistas on Wall Street, where's the evidence? Where's the actual evidence that manufacturing is falling? Actually, manufacturing output has been rising. So is business equipment. Consumers are still spending. As I mentioned earlier, the inflation index, I mean, people are talking about big inflation. Meanwhile, the inflation indexes are actually coming down. We've got deflation, which isn't a bad thing if it gets lower prices for working folks for a change. When you go through the numbers, I don't want to get too complicated, but when you go through the numbers, I would say to you, a recession could happen if there's some weird event, but I don't see it. Think of it this way, Jesse. Think of it this way. The tariff revenue story might be $300 billion, maybe a little more. I'll call it $400 billion. Okay, fine. A lot of that's going to be reduced when it gets to the consumer, but call it $400 billion. Now, look, we're in a $28 trillion economy, and these budget resolutions will have roughly, Jesse, $5 trillion worth of tax cuts, both extended tax cuts and brand new tax cuts. All right. So just think about that. $5 trillion in tax cuts is a lot more than $300 or $400 billion.
Even I can do that math, Larry, and I like to keep it simple. Maybe next time I'm off, you sit in my chair in the 5 and you school Jessica, because I think everybody would appreciate that. Have a great weekend, Larry.
I tell you.
Guys, let me tell you this. This is how much, I'm telling you guys, the propaganda machine is so strong right now that right now they had Janet Yellen, who came out and said that revitalizing the American manufacturing in the United States was a pipe dream. Guys, I want you to show you this, and then I'm going to show you the facts of what's actually happening in the receipts. Listen to this.
Perhaps it's to bring back American manufacturing, but I really think that's a pipe dream and not something that is likely to be accomplished. And we could even raise questions about whether or not, in a broad-based way, that's a desirable goal.
Okay, you just heard her say that, right? Does she not know that we have almost $5 trillion in a money that is going to be invested in the United States? And as she was saying this, within an hour of this statement, NVIDIA, which makes a lot of super high-tech computer components, announces a $500 billion investment plan that would debut the first American-made supercomputers. All this stuff, guys, they know this. All they're doing is they're going on CNBC and CNN and all these trying to put fear into people because that's the only tool that they have, is they're trying to control people with fear. When Trump says, you know what? Let's control people with giving them their American rights back, of giving them their taxpayer dollars back, of making sure that we're holding people accountable at the IRS or at the FBI. Because listen to this, guys. There's something big about to come out between the Bidens and his family right here, guys. You're seeing it. I'm telling you, this is huge. Check this out.
Look, the Cash and Pam situation is suboptimal. Can we say that? I do want to, and maybe I do that tomorrow, is break down some of the Tom Fitton. For those of you who didn't see the show on Saturday, Tom Fitton is a warrior's warrior. And when Tom Fitton's got to sue you, that shows you that, maybe you got to get focused. So Tom Fitton dropped a lawsuit on the Epstein files. But it's more than that. And he gave through an amazing presentation. He was the guy that was all over Holder. But he brought up a point. He ended up suing the Trump Justice Department more in the first term than he did in all 8 years of Holder. And Holder and these guys at Justice stiff-armed him like crazy. Why? Because Senator Sessions and others that went over there, Bill Barr, did not take out the deep state element in the Justice Department. So it's a problem. It's no doubt a problem. And Fitton is the guy that lays it out, and Fitton's kind of the tip of the spear on this. And I agree, something you got to have a shakeup, because you need to start taking apart the FBI now and the Justice Department at a deeper and deeper level. Let's go ahead and go to John Solomon. John, you've got a big breaking story, sir. What do you got for us this morning?
This is huge, guys.
Yeah, listen, so new documents that we obtained first through a lawsuit and then through James Comer's subcommittee, because our lawsuit documents were highly redacted. James Comer was able to get the unredacted version. They show that Joe Biden, while publicly in 2014 vowing to punish Russia for its first invasion of Ukraine, actually secretly worked behind the scenes to open a backdoor so that Moscow's oil and gas could go into Ukraine after the invasion of Ukraine. Think about that. They're out there in public saying, sanction them, punish them. They're terrible guys. But behind the scenes, they actually were arranging for Russian gas to flow back into Ukraine right after the invasion. Now, there's a couple of reasons for it. Perhaps the most significant reason is that the company, Burisma, the one that Hunter Biden worked for, did not have enough gas supply to heat the country in the upcoming winter of 2014, 2015. So Joe Biden goes to bat, and it actually is very beneficial to his son in Burisma. These documents were all conducted, all these negotiations, these secret negotiations, on Joe Biden's private pseudonym email account. Think about that. He's negotiating with Russia. He's talking to Germany, and the documents are kept off the official books. They're on his private email, probably because they were beneficial to Hunter Biden's company. But those documents just broke. The story's up at Just the News, and it's another example of Democrats being against Russia until, well, they're for it. We saw it with Bill Clinton in the $500,000 speech. We saw it with Skokovo, and now we see it again in a decade too late, perhaps. We're now seeing, once again, Democrats on both sides of the Russia equation.
Hang on a second. I want to make sure I understand this. Where were these documents, and how did you guys get the scoop to release them? Where were these stored? How come we haven't seen these before? Why were they suppressed?
Yeah, because Joe Biden has 89,000 emails at the National Archives under his pseudonym email accounts, the fake name email accounts. We sued to get these. We're getting them at about $500 a month. It'll take us 30 years to get them at the way the National Archives is doing it. We got in the latest batch these emails, but they were very redacted. It turns out that the House Oversight Committee was able to go get us less redacted version. In fact, fully unredacted versions of the emails. And that's how we did it. We did it as a two-step. First, we sue, we get them under FOIA. We realize there's something important here that's redacted. We work through sources to get it. And thankfully, James Comer and the House Oversight Committee was able to get us an unredacted version of this email. But 10 years, the American people have been kept from this secret.
What's the $2 trillion deficit about? Number one, you're not generating enough tax revenue.
Guys, do y'all hear that? They're trying to investigate. They're trying to get these emails. The National Archive only gives them $500 a month. There's 89,000. How do you think that they all are able to be so corrupt, guys? He said it'd take us 30 years to get all these. Every single one of these systems, like, it just blows my mind how many times these corrupt people get protected. How many times we can see it. We know there's something's going on. But yet, because of how the system is designed, they protect the corruption. And guys, I got something to show you next, guys. I'm telling you, like, I'm ready to see some people be put in jail. Because when you commit this much fraud and nothing happens, what the heck do we have a justice system for? Is it only for certain people? If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, let me know your thoughts in the comments in the chat, because this to me is just mind-blowing.
From your own corporations, because you're not creating high value-added manufacturing. So people don't have higher wages, so they're not taxed even in the lower brackets, right? They're not taxed more because there are more jobs. They're making more money. Their wages are higher. Also, the corporations are not making more money because they're not doing high value-added manufacturing. In addition, we're underwriting the entire defense apparatus. This is why we have $1 trillion, and $1 trillion they're not happy with. They're trying to put in this reconciliation another $150 billion. They want over $1 trillion. Those two aspects of it lead us to have, with other things too, but leads us to have a $2 trillion deficit. It's not sustainable. When these people are on TV whining and whining and whining, tell me what the alternative is. Give me your alternative. You don't like this plan, which is basically reindustrialize America and bring back high value-added manufacturing jobs so people can actually have things called families around one wage earner, whether that be the husband or the wife, you pick them. That's your choice and your family. Tell me what the alternative is. We're not living in an alternative. That's how you have $36 trillion of debt. That's how you have $1 trillion every 100 days. That's how you have a new budget. There's reconciliation. And let me be blunt. The reconciliation right now, as I see it, is a fantasy. It's a fantasy. It's a dangerous fantasy. And it shows a political class on Capitol Hill that's not prepared, as they have not been prepared for decade after decade after decade, to actually get to the heart of the matter. And please, don't give me the phony limited government Republican tiny town. We're for liberty, we're for the Constitution, we're for all you guys do is allow and vote. And when they do vote to cut, the biggest scam they got is they cut in the out years. These are 10-year budgets, and they're saying, hey, we have conservative wins. This is $1.5 trillion of $1.5 trillion of cuts. Well, folks, that's over 10 years. That's in, I think, the analysis that was done, it's an $86 trillion of spending. And those cuts will never happen because they're all in the out years. This is a restructuring.
Guys, and again, I'm telling you what, the more and more that we get into this and the more and more that we expose, guys, we've got a big serious problem. Right now, we're supposed to be in there. We're supposed to be making sure that we get this big, beautiful bill, clean out the deep state, make sure we hold people accountable. Look at what the Senate is doing. 14-day vacation in the middle of April. For what? For what? 14-day vacation. Oh, but guess what? The House of Representatives and Congress, they had to one-up them. They're going to take a 17-day break from the 11th to the 27th. I thought we were supposed to be busting butt, working hard around the hours, on the weekends, making sure that we put the Americans first. And this is what's happening right now. All the while, we're trying to figure out, how do we pay off our debt? How do we make sure to take care of Americans first? These leaders have the authority to not go on vacation, but yet they still do. And guys, remember, I counted it up. I showed you the very chart on this channel. The the House of Representatives is only working 141 days out of this year. Guess how many days the average American works? How about 241? So the average American works 241. Congress are working 141. They get paid $175,000 or more per year. Guys, to me, I'm so tired of this just deep state. I want to see the country fixed, but it's going to take putting pit bulls like what I'm about to show you in the right positions to actually get change made. Because I don't think it's Thune, and I do not think that it's Mike Johnson. But listen to this, because at least somebody's going after some of these mayors in these Democratic sanctuary states. Check this out.
Not Mayor. I remember we had a group of this committee that went down to the El Paso section of the border. This was back in February, March of 2021. And during that time period, we were at one of the holding centers, and there were these buses that were coming to the detention facility, and they were picking up 30 kids, 50 kids at random, walking out of the facility. And when I went over to question the bus driver that was transporting these kids, border agents told me, as a member of Congress, that you're not allowed to question the bus driver. And of course, people knowing me, I didn't take no for an answer, and I repeated the question. And I was told that this bus of children was leaving El Paso and going to San Diego. And so what was occurring under the Biden administration is that they were busing unaccompanied minors all across the United States for one reason and one reason only. And that was because they did not want the press to see the pictures of kids in cages. They did not want to see our borders being overrun. They wanted to disperse that problem all through the United States. That is the reckless history of illegal immigration under Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. Mayor Johnston of Denver, you lamented earlier that there were 10 to 11 buses coming per day to your city. Did you ever talk to Joe Biden about why this was happening to your community?
Thank you, Congressman. I both reached out to Governor Abbott from Texas. He didn't respond, and I did.
Why would you reach out to Governor Abbott of Texas when it is Joe Biden, the former commander-in-chief, that opened up our borders? Why didn't you talk to him?
Well, our buses directly were being sent from Governor Abbott in Texas, so that was why we reached out to say we're happy to collaborate on a coordinated entry system. We understand no one state or no one city should bear the entire brunt of this, but let's collaborate. But I did.
So I'm glad you said that, because that brings me to my next point. Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis, when they started moving illegal aliens out of their states who were bearing the brunt of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were doing, and they've sent them to Denver, they sent them to Chicago, they sent them to New York, they sent them to Martha's Vineyard. The reason why they did that is because you four could hide behind the realities of illegal immigration on border towns all through our country and on cities and states who did not want to see illegal immigration, but did not have the political representation to go to the White House. And only when it showed up on your doorstep did you get upset. Mayor Johnston, coming back to you, how much did your city spend on illegal immigration? Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years on all newcomers, whatever their status was, it's around $79 million since 2022.
$79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much has the city of Chicago spent on illegal immigration?
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because we don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone...
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing mayor.
Which is
Mayor
the same
Adams.
number that was
sent. Did you hear that? He said that's why you're a failing mayor. Guys, I got even something to show you after this, because it gets even deeper. The fraud that they have found, and this is not Republicans, this is Elon Musk's Democratic friends. It is bad.
The city of New York actually spent on illegal immigration. Mayor Johnson, I already asked you, you don't have a hard number. And if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor Adams, how much did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
$6.9 billion of taxpayers.
$6.9 billion of taxpayer money on a problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are
don't
you out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor
That
Wu?
is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu,
safe.
do you manage your budget or
We have the
not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to
for
the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city of Boston
the city of
is
Boston.
sick of having
I'm reclaiming
people
my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I have
need.
a question for you because I understand Cato's perspective when it comes to illegal immigration. I understand that the Cato Institute for a long time has had a standard of actually having open immigration into the United States.
Wow.
Generally speaking, I don't want to get into specifics.
We support legal immigration. We want immigration to be legal.
Let me ask you this question, because one of the great libertarians of the modern era, Milton Friedman, famously said, you can either have open borders or a welfare state, but you have to choose. Mr. Beer, what do you choose?
Milton Friedman said he wanted to allow illegal immigration to continue. I disagree with Milton Friedman's position on that. We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state, not around the country. That's in the best interest of taxpayers.
And I would argue that under the current system where you have sanctuary cities popping up, it is not possible to build that wall. So America has to choose. Mr. Beer, you're done. America has to choose between securing our nation or protecting the taxpayer. I choose secure the nation. I yield.
Guys, do you hear? I like how he said, you're done. You think it stops right there, guys? I have to show you this. This billionaire, massive Democratic donor, Antonio Gracias, is literally dedicating his time to fixing the Social Security Administration. Instead, he discovers that would be described as a criminal enterprise. The Democratic donor uncovers the massive fraud in the Social Security Administration. Why do you think the Democrats said, please, we cannot let Doge go in and audit the Social Security Administration? Why do you think they keep trying to tell people they're stealing your money, they're stealing your Social Security? No, what they're uncovering is a criminal enterprise. Guys, this is a Democratic donor who has always voted Democrat, one of Elon's good friends. And when you hear them come out and say, dang, we didn't know that this existed. We kind of thought it was okay. This is what bothers me so much, because I know that there's plenty of people on Social Security that barely get $1,000 a month. And there's fraud throughout the entire systems. And all we're trying to do is uncover it. And all they're trying to do is cover it up. Bonnell Anderson, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Bonnell some love in the chat. This right here, guys, it blows my mind because, again, too, I think of it's not your money. This is the American taxpayers' money who paid into the system. And all they want to do is get a decent living, especially if you've paid into it for 40 years. And what did they do? They gave it how many billions, hundreds of billions to illegals? But you know what? What I'm about to show you, it's getting better. Listen to this.
The White House now ramping up its efforts to rid this country of every criminal, illegal alien as sanctuary city leaders continue to play Russian roulette with American lives. The latest innocent life lost making now national headlines. 13-year-old Oscar Omar Hernandez.
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button for us, let me know your thoughts and comments in the chat, in the comments section, because I'm telling you, this is crazy.
Of Los Angeles. Investigators say his killer is that guy right there. Youth soccer coach Mario Edgardo Garcia Aquino. He's an illegal alien from where else? El Salvador, who officials say he also has a history of assaulting young boys. And he's not the only monster in custody. Department of Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem announcing ICE in Boston arresting an illegal from Ecuador. He's charged with more than 20 sex crimes against a minor. She wrote in part, imagine what our ICE officers could do without sanctuary city policies that protect illegal alien criminals, including child predators, murderers, and rapists. President Trump now ramping up efforts to make our country safe again. He's planning on hitting sanctuary cities where it hurts them the most by withholding federal funding because they continue to protect these illegal alien criminals, putting them before American citizens. Trump writing on Truth Social, No more sanctuary cities. They protect the criminals, not the victims. They are disgracing our country, and they're being mocked all over the world, working on papers to withhold all federal funding for any city or state that allows these death traps to exist. The Biden border invasion not only costing us lives, but billions in taxpayer dollars. The Federation for American Immigration Reform, also known as FAIR, calculating that American taxpayers spend at least $182 billion every year to cover the cost of approximately 20 million illegal aliens. This is Americans. We're struggling just to make ends meet because of Bidenomics. Mortgage foreclosures are now up 11% from February across the country. I mean, are you surprised? I'm not. There's not a day that goes by that I don't see someone complaining on social media, on my Facebook, about their home utility costs, which have now skyrocketed here in New York, where I unfortunately live. Governor Hochul's Green New Scam, because that's what it is, it's a scam, resulting in Con Edison, a utility company, hiking up their rates by $2 billion with a B dollars. Wow. This is now costing homeowners hundreds of more dollars every single month. So while we're paying these exorbitant utility bills, higher than some mortgages, illegals are getting almost everything for free. It is time they get off of our payroll once and for all.
Wow.
The New York Times reporting that the Trump administration is now cutting off illegal aliens so they'll get some common sense. They'll self-deport already. The White House is also now revoking the parole of thousands of immigrants who they have found to have criminal records or were on the FBI terror watch list. Customs and Border Protection identifying 6,300 of them thus far. The Department of Government Efficiency, aka Doge, finding that the Biden administration also gave every single one of them social security numbers. 900.
Guys, again, this is like, imagine, this was all happening for the past 4 years. We didn't know anything if it wasn't for Trump and Elon. And what breaks my heart is that we're not talking about $5 or $100 or even $1,000. We're talking about millions upon billions and billions of dollars of your hard-earned tax money. That's why, guys, I appreciate it when you like these videos, when you share these videos, because a lot of people just don't know. And if we don't share it with people, how will they know?
105 of them are collecting Medicaid, including 4 of them that are on the terror watch list, costing us $276,000. 41 of them receiving unemployment insurance, costing us taxpayers $42,000. 22 have federal student loans, costing us taxpayers $280,000. In 2024 alone, 409 of them received tax refunds, totaling $751,000. If this is not gaming the system, then you tell me, what is it? I mean, you're wondering, like me, how is this even possible? It's because elections have consequences.
Yes.
And your liberal, woke aunt or neighbor or whatever voted for people like this.
So I am telling you that this is a failed thing, but we've got to do better to connect the dots and let people know the reason you can't afford a home is because of these failed immigration policies. The reason you're not going to be able to afford your food is because of these failed immigration policies. And the same can go for the hospitality industries, where we have so many of those in the hospitality industry that are saying they do not have the workers that they need right now.
Oh, my goodness. That's Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who's now the darling of the Democrat Party. She's also the same Democrat leader who said we need illegals to do this.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right, right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
She's saying it at church, guys.
You're not. We done picking cotton.
You know, as a child of immigrants who came here legally, I am highly offended and disgusted by her comment there. It's not only ignorant, it's racist and demeaning, and it's time that she is held accountable. Yet we have liberals protesting in the streets against President Trump and Elon Musk, calling them racist, calling them fascists, Nazis, because why? They want to stop all of this fraud, waste, and corruption. Their Trump derangement syndrome may now be at an all-time high, but don't believe their hype, their hysteria, folks. Take a look at CNN reporting on one recent survey.
All of a sudden, a tie? All of a sudden, the Democrats, who are the party of the people, no more. We get a tie on this question, on a question that has traditionally overwhelmingly been a Democratic advantage. Which party cares more for the needs of people like you? It's truly something I would not have expected to see, especially after this tariff war.
You didn't expect to see it, CNN, because you're in your own blue city bubble world, which Trump is about to pop. And by the way, it's not a tariff war because we already know
who's gonna win. Guys, ooh, this is so good. I love getting a report. What I'm showing you on the screen right now, Jasmine Crockett's campaign under federal probe over questionable donations. How do you get into Congress when you ain't got no money and then 4 years later you're worth like $10 million? Huh? None of this makes sense. She wants to go out and say all these things, make all these statements, and it's about time that these people be held accountable. I hate it whenever we see people that constantly perpetuate propaganda or they try to put a narrative that is just completely false. And again, it's so important to show you the actual pit bulls of the Trump administration and what they're doing, guys. Because this right here just shows you Trump and his team don't take nothing. Listen to this.
Steven, is the president going to ask for him to be returned to the United States or not? Like, yes or no?
So first of all, it's not a question for me to answer, but I think that the assumption that underlies the question is what needs to be corrected, which is that there was no mistake that was made. He was sent, so what, let me ask you, so what do you think would happen to him if he came back to this country? As your understanding of immigration laws, what do you think would happen?
But I'm just asking.
It's important to know. You're asking a lot of questions. You are all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you? What does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you?
Do you really
believe
the
writing?
Supreme Court?
I'm talking now.
Do you really believe the Supreme Court?
You need to stop. I'm talking now.
Doesn't think he
Does
should be
any of
returned?
you?
Why was it unanimous?
You're done. Does any of you know the answer to the question? Does any of you? You've been talking about it for days.
Would deport him again, no?
He would be arrested. Okay. He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. So what you're asking for is to be deported twice. But additionally, if we chose to just pretend that the withholding order was real, he would be deported to a different country. So, for example, he could be deported to Egypt. So, I'm just trying to understand, is it your view, in other words, you have to find a country that would be willing to take a MS-13 member from El Salvador. So I'm trying to understand from you all is, so if he came back and under our laws, he was then deported to Egypt or to Somalia, would you then be saying, great, I'm so glad that you deported him to another country? Is that what you'd all be saying? Like, do you understand our immigration laws at all? But the premise of your question, the gentlemen, the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please.
Ooh.
Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time. Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
Let's go, baby. Getting it to them, guys. Pitbull. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I love it. Why? Because this is what you don't see on mainstream. You don't see them being held accountable. You don't see that he's asking them like, y'all don't even know what you're talking about. I'm asking you, do you know what this order is or this order is? No, we're not in the government. You're reporting on it. How could you report on something you don't know about? And what I love too, guys, because again, we got to sometimes bring in our boy Scott Jennings whenever he lays it out for these people who think that they can call him out just because they're on CNN, that they don't think he's going to say anything. Listen to this.
You cannot just go and say, I like it, it's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it, I want to take it for mine, that is a very colonized attitude.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland and, quote, colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job. You can agitate.
Scott, if you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you
what
do.
you lack in a legitimate point, you make up for in personal
I don't, you
personal
do.
insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not
if I were
isolated.
you, I would reserve that for your party, who
We're
is
not
increasingly
isolated.
isolated. Our position outside of you.
Guys, did y'all hear what she said? She literally told him, you're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant. And he said, you got fired from your job, so how relevant are you? I'm telling you guys, what do they mean? Like that, like some of the stuff that they put out, remember, it's not about them actually telling the truth. It's about word association. If they can tie a word, like I showed you in yesterday's video, if they can tie the word chaos to Trump, then every time they say chaos, people think of Trump. And all it is it's propaganda and it's manipulation in the mind. And that is what gets, and I love it when we have our pit bulls out there that literally will call them out right on the spot, even like what I'm about to show you next. Check this out.
Alina Habba is the interim U.S. attorney for the great state of New Jersey. It has nothing to do with the fact that I live there. How you doing, Alina?
I'm great in the great state of New Jersey. How are you, Jesse?
I'm doing great. I don't understand the Supreme Court. We deported an illegal alien gangbanger back to the country where he was born and raised, and they're saying we didn't do it the right way and we have to do it all over again. Why don't we just leave him there and say, okay, case closed?
Because this was part of the plan, right? So I can't speak politically. I'm going to speak solely on criminal. Here's how it goes. You come into this country. I believe his year was 2011. We know that was an illegal migration into this country. He didn't come through the front door. He went through the back door. And now they're saying, oh, but you said he was a gang. He wasn't a gang. We're not sure about that. Come back. Let us do due process. So let me explain something that Americans are a little bit confused about, I believe. And now I've been sitting in New Jersey in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I'm fully briefed on this with ICE. We get administrative warrants from the courts, from the administrative courts, saying these people are in fact illegals, they should be deported. We then have to execute these warrants. We get them deported. Then you have judges saying, no, we don't like the way that was done. Put them back on a plane, bring them back to only establish what? That they were deported, or maybe they were or were not part of a gang. I don't care. You are, by definition, illegal, okay, per the executive order, per the federal law, which is what my job is to follow. It's not political, it's law.
Yes.
You do not come into this country illegally. If you do, you will be deported. Period. The end. Full stop. That's it. It's pretty simple. And I really want to ask people, when you go through this, when you're fighting laws, when you're fighting federal laws, in my state, in our state, Jesse, and obviously you're my neighbor, but in our state, we have issues where we have politicians standing up and trying to make a point, directing state and local officials not to listen to federal law. How does that benefit the people you represent? I would love to see the state of New Jersey. I would love to see America, everybody come together and say one thing: keep America safe. Have law and order.
Yes.
You come in illegally, you got to go out, you got to come in legally. You commit a crime, you're out. And by the way, state police and federal police, we're going to work together to get to that. That's what America asked for. That's what they want. That's what I want personally in the state of New Jersey. I want everybody to work together to fight violent crime, to get criminals out of here, and to have peace in our country.
All right. Alina Habba, thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend.
Let's go, guys. Let me tell you this. Tell me if you agree with this or not. President Trump says he is open to deporting U.S. citizens who commit violent crimes. I would say that's not a bad idea. I feel like right now we're deporting people that have committed a crime that, you know what? These are some of them terrorists, part of these really bad gangs. But if you're here and you are a citizen and you do commit a super violent crime, put it on somebody else. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments because this is big. President Trump says deporting U.S. citizens who commit violent crimes. Lots of things are changing right now, guys. Lots of things across the board. Trump is not messing around because a lot of stuff that we're uncovering, it's pretty sick, guys. Federal government gave over $27 million to a nonprofit that sends sexually explicit health advice via text to children. Instructs them on this right here, guys. I hope you can see it. I don't even want to say it. On adult toys use. Look at this. Like, you can't make this stuff up. This is sick. What the crap are they doing texting kids with your tax dollars? Who in the heck would vote for this? That's why, guys, I'm telling you, when they come out and when Trump and all them, they say all this stuff, I support it because we have to get things under control with not just internally, across the world. We got to show people who we are and make sure we're not doing anything crazy and make sure your tax dollars are being used correctly. Check this out.
Chairman Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, it's great to have you back on. What did you make of the White House's response here?
It's not enough. I really want to focus on more than just tariffs on China. I want to level the playing field. I speak on behalf of millions of American entrepreneurs who've been ripped off, their IP's been gone, investors like me who can't get any access to the Chinese courts. All of the WTO since China joined in 2000, they've abused it every week. You can look at thousands of complaints. And the one that makes me crazy is they come to the U.S. to tap our markets, our financial markets, our exchanges, raise billions of dollars, and they're not even GAP compliant. I can't do that. Why can a Chinese company do that? And I'm competing with their dollars. So all of this stuff has to get fixed. So what I want to do, and I'm just throwing it out there, and I'm glad it was brought up today, is let's just shut them down until they get to the table. I want to do business in China. I have no problems with Chinese people, but I want to be on a level playing field this time. I want to fix this once and for all. And I'm willing to live with the volatility. I understand that. But we've got to get Xi to the table. This is not like the other negotiations with the EU, Canada, Mexico, Switzerland, France. That's all going to get worked out, and we're going to have a zone of friendly trade at some tariff rate. I don't care. I'm talking about China here. This is a different problem.
You know, Kevin, your point is well taken. I mean, years ago, I did a story about how China was reporting that it had energy companies listed on U.S. stock exchanges when it was only little gas stations, not an energy company. So the yuan is at a nearly 20-year low. Nearly a third of U.S. companies are moving supply chains out of China. Half of the EU's companies are considering doing that. This is data from the American Chamber of Commerce in China. We're talking Apple, Samsung, Nike, Lululemon, Google, and Kevin, China's own company, Shein, is moving supply chains to Vietnam, Brazil, and Turkey. Tesla, Amazon, reportedly canceling their orders from China. Also, Swiss watchmakers like Rolex. Now, Kevin, here's the big question. How fast can other nations in Asia, like Vietnam, fire up their own supply chains to pick up from China?
Guys, this is huge.
It takes years. That's the truth. I've moved facilities from China to Vietnam. It took me 4 years. And we got it set up and got it working, but it doesn't happen quickly. The better strategy, because think about this. Xi is sitting there with millions of workers in factories. They're making stuff that's sitting on the water on boats. It's not coming into the U.S. until this thing is resolved. There's no other economy to consume as much as the United States. We're 26.1% of the world GDP and almost 40% of all consumption. This has to get worked out. I mean, there's no question. Xi gets voted on every day because if you're a factory worker, millions of them, and you don't have a job and you can't feed your family, that's the end of Xi. That's what happens to supreme leaders. They cannot afford to have a riot on their hands in Tiananmen Square again. And he knows that. And Trump, of course, faces the midterms in 18 months. So these two leaders have to get together. I'm trying to encourage them. But I really think we got to keep this focus on China because it's not like the other trade negotiations. I'm not worried about them.
I'm worried about what's going on IP and access to those markets and how we're getting totally screwed by Chinese companies that come in and raise capital in New York. That's absolutely crazy. It's got to get fixed.
What deal would you tell the president to take from China? What would it look like?
Look, whatever reciprocal tariff you want, I don't care if it's 10 or 5 or 0, that's fine. But here's what I want. I want access to their markets. I don't want to be forced to give up my IP. I want to compete on a level playing field. I want access to their courts. I want them to resolve all of the issues they have with the World Trade Organization that they said they were going to. Because if you bring a complaint through WTO, it's crickets. Nothing happens. And there has to be some kind of consequence for screwing these laws, which they've never faced. There has to be a consequence. I don't get to do what they do. I don't get to steal their IP. I can't bring my products to their markets and they bring them here. Just to be clear, you get a successful entrepreneur in America, up to $5 million in sales on an annualized basis. And just like that, you find that product on Alibaba 5 weeks after it's proven successful domestically, and they've knocked it off and they're selling it into the American market at 30 to 40% discounts without paying a dime for the R&D. What's wrong with that picture? Why do we allow this? This is what I'm talking about. Let's fix this problem.
We hear you, Kevin O'Leary. Thank you, Mr. Wonderful.
Guys, let me tell you this. There's a lot of people that are ready to... because again, too, guys, it's just about being fair. Like, how do we get to a fair trade agreement? How do we get to stop, our tax dollars being used for fraud? Bet you didn't know this, but this is breaking today. Barack Obama's Ivanpah solar electric power plant has officially failed and will begin shutting down operations early 2026. $1.6 billion in federal loans, $535 million grant, $600 million tax credit. A scam paid for by U.S. taxpayers for nothing. $2.2 billion given, not returned back. Do y'all realize how many times this happens? This is the type of stuff that we've reported on when it comes to family members. Oh, I've started a company. What happened with the Stacey Abrams? 1 year, the first year that they're up, they got $100 in the dang bank account. How does it go that the next year they can get a $2 billion grant despite only having $100 in the account the year before? You can't make this stuff up, guys. This has been happening all along, right in front of our faces. And the Democrats, and I would even say too, a lot of them Republicans, let it happen until Donald Trump, until Elon Musk. But it's going to take more of them, guys, to make this all go away. The stuff that we see, the stuff that we're learning about, it's just getting harder and harder because right now everybody's focused on China, which we should be. They're our biggest competitor. But dang it, man. This stuff is so fraudulent. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section because it breaks my heart. This is our hard-earned tax dollars. Listen to this.
All of this China tariff hysteria unfold. How long before we start seeing China flags in social media bios along with a person's pronouns? Really, because that's where all of this is headed. China is now the new Ukraine. It's the new victim. And as we speak in my little Westchester County town just outside of New York City, there are Ukrainian flags on every pole in the little business district there. They were put up within 48 hours of Trump's meeting with Zelensky when he kicked him out. And now, the same country, China, that unleashed the deadliest pandemic on the world is somehow the latest victim of Trump's mistreatment. I mean, just take a look at this ridiculous Reuters headline. Has Trump canceled Christmas? I mean, can you believe this? It should read, President Trump holds our adversary China accountable for ripping off the United States for decades. After President Trump reversed course and dropped specific tariffs down to a universal 10% rate for all trade partners, he then rightfully jacked up China's rate to 125%. Why anyone is shocked is beyond me. Trump has been saying this for years, that China should be held accountable. He said this 13 years ago as he campaigned for president.
And I said, somebody said, well, what would you do? What can you do? So easy. I drop a 25% tax on China. And you know, I said to somebody that it's really the messenger. The messenger is important. I could have
I love this clip.
One man say, we're going to tax you 25%. And I could say another, listen, we're going to tax you 25%.
I love it. You know, China, of course, is now reaching out to other nations in an attempt to form a united front to compel Washington to retreat. The White House, of course, it'll never do that. The White House continues to focus on Main Street, not Wall Street. It continues to prioritize the average American over major corporations and put China in its place once and for all, especially when it comes to our national security.
China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies.
Trump is treating China like the threat that it is. Trump also understands that the American dream isn't the ability to buy cheap, made in China baubles. Yet Democrats are enamored with China. They seem to have this. They're delusional. They think the Chinese Communist Party is our friend.
Do you see this, guys? Do you see this? You want to know who I think the traitors are? You want to know who I think are the people that would sell the United States in a heartbeat or have already? I wouldn't doubt it, guys. These very people are elected officials.
There he is, Chuck Schumer there. I mean, are you surprised? Look at him he was waving the CCP flag there. That was last year. He's waving the People's Republic of China flag. I mean, what is wrong with this guy? Draped with it around him. Alongside him, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, New York City Mayor Eric Adams. I mean, this isn't about supporting the Chinese people. You can support them without being draped in CCP garb.
No.
You'd never see a top Chinese official waving an American flag, would you?
Yeah.
No matter what Trump does, though, look at him. There he is waving it. No matter what Trump does, though, the Democrats, they demonize Trump. But Schumer sure agreed with Trump on tariffs during Trump's first term.
Look, I think the president's doing the right thing. China has been taking advantage of us for two decades. They're stealing our intellectual property, which means stealing our good-paying jobs. And I, frankly, am closer on this issue, not on many, but on this issue with President Trump than I was with Presidents Bush or Obama.
Wow.
Because they did nothing to...
Guys, are you even kidding me? What happened?
Tell China off.
Wow. Did you hear that? He even criticized Barack Obama. I mean, it could never happen now. China has been infiltrating every part of American life for decades. They've been buying up hundreds of thousands of our lands. According to the White House, China owns more than 350,000 acres of farmland across 27 states. And it's not just farmland and land that China is buying, near military bases. In his first term, Trump even successfully blocked China from purchasing a California fertility clinic. Now, you tell me, why would China want to buy a fertility clinic on the California coastline? Yet Americans aren't allowed to buy even a foot of land in China. Chinese nationals are also flooding our college campuses. In the 2023-2024 academic year, about 280,000 Chinese nationals were studying at universities right here in the U.S. This number makes up the second largest group of foreign students in the United States after Indian nationals. Coincidentally, the CCP has enacted now a law requiring Chinese students abroad to participate in intelligence gathering. So as a result, Florida Senator Ashley Moody has now introduced a bill that would deny student visas to Chinese nationals.
Wow.
I filed a bill yesterday to deny now student visas to Chinese students because China has just passed a law that now requires every national to gather intelligence, including Chinese students here studying, gather intelligence and report back.
Guys, do you see this stuff? Like, this is like stuff you see in the movies. Mission Impossible, 007. This is what they're doing. This is why Trump is doing what he's doing. And this is why you can truly see where the Democrats land if they are actually defending this crap.
How do we not pass a law that prevents student visas in that respect? I mean, in the past few years, we've had an explosion of Chinese students that were caught gathering evidence or gathering information on military bases, on college campuses. How do we as lawmakers, policymakers not do that?
How do they not? I mean, did you hear what she just said there? Chinese national students have been caught gathering information on us. And it gets even worse than intelligence. We saw China dominance and dependence clear as day during the pandemic when we couldn't even get masks or gloves. We had to get it from China. And also, did you know that between 2020 and 2022, U.S. imports of China-based pharmaceuticals grew by a staggering 485% from 2.1 billion to 10.3 billion? Under Joe Biden, China became richer while the United States became poorer and more reliant on China, even when it comes to our own medicine. The U.S.-China Commission finding that China owns the American generic drug supply chain. So basic thyroid or blood pressure medications, they might be put into pill form in a lab in India, but the organic compounds, the key materials, mostly came from China. So yes, these tariffs, they're about fair trade. They're about putting Americans first. This is about national security. But ultimately, when it comes to China, Trump is fixing a broken system which rewarded corporations for making something in foreign countries like China and punished you for
guys, I'm telling you, like, this kills me, guys. I gotta show you this chart because I'm telling you, when you look at where the money comes from, it just blows my mind that nobody has sent anything since. Nobody has brought this up as an issue. You want to know who's controlling our kids at these colleges, at these universities? It's the people who are given the most money. Is it Qatar? 6 billion. Saudi Arabia, 3.5 billion. United Arab Emirates, 1.5. China, 1.2 billion. United Kingdom, 1.1 billion. Hong Kong, 700 million. Why? Why so much money? We're talking billions of dollars. They want to control people, guys. That's what it's all about. B1 Sly One, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said majority of super chats go towards monthly charity donations. Let's go. Y'all show B1 Sly One some love in the chat. Want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers who are watching. Guys, thank you so much for your support. If you are not subscribed, please consider joining our family here, TrueLife News. We want you here. We want to grow this community, and we want to serve you every day with the top news. Guys, there is so much going on. I can't even believe some of the stuff that we reported today on this channel. But what I love is that we are exposing the truth, and what I love is that as this channel grows, we are giving more back to charity every single month through your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. I want to give some love to our members of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And want to give some love to those give a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Bonnell Anderson, B1 Sly One. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. This is big. Everything that's happening, Trump letting Elon Musk get more power into some of these federal governments to overhaul them is big. But I'm telling you, if we don't overhaul Congress right now, we may not ever get a chance to. That's how much corruption is in there with what we've shown you today. But want to say, guys, we are here to serve you. We love you. We thank you for your support. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.